Right. Hello and welcome to the Zonal Weakness brought to you by Ghana Football Fantasy, powered by Fantasy Football Scout. And of course, this is our first Zonal Weakness for the season 2025-26. And yeah, the first game week is over. So we have just 1 week game week's data, which is still a small sample size. So do keep that in mind while you're trying to evaluate this. And yeah. Um, Unfortunately, Bethany is not able to join us this week. It's because she's on holiday. So yeah, I'll have to do it alone. So do forgive me if I'm not able to do some sort of a justice in analyzing this zonal weakness. But here we are, and I hope we get more audience watching the zonal weakness for the season 25-26. So there we go. So here it is, the zonal weakness for 25-26, powered by Fantasy Football Scout, and all the data that you see are taken from Fantasy Football Scout. Of course, Ghana Football Fantasy is a proud member of the Fantasy Football Scout network. Do give us a follow and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, we have all our content available on X as well as on Facebook. So don't forget to give us a follow and a like if you enjoy it. Right. And as I said, all the data are from Fantasy Football Scout members area. If you're interested in the membership, please do click in the link in the description below, and you'd be able to get a 40% discount, which is currently available. Lots of data is available there, including the DEFCON data. So yeah, have a look. It's pretty interesting. It helps you to make much more informed decision while while playing FPL, of course. So do give it a try. So this is this chart for this week. Of course, KB2. We have changed the outlook of it a little bit based on the some of the feedback that we got. We've kept the background a little bit black, and of course, the highlighted ones previously, which was white, is now green, just for easy illustration, of course. So let's get started with that one. Just to start the first match, of course, it's Tottenham versus City. And obviously, the machine stands out because Tottenham have conceded actually 5 chances down the center and are ranked one. So he's obviously the best captain pick this week. But again, this is just 1 week data, viewers. So just to keep that in mind, and it's just a small sample size. So of course, that's that. But the other player that kind of caught my attention and seems to also the stats seems to back it a little bit, of course, is that Rangers. I think that's where Tottenham have actually considered 3 chances and are ranked seventh. So Rangers is going to occupy that position. So yeah, he could be again doing well, and of course, he appears to be the most transferred player so far. Moving on to the next fixture, it's Leeds versus Arsenal. There's not many players that stands out. Leeds have hardly conceded any chances down the center, so not looking great for Gyökeres, of course, and Havertz as well. But Havertz is injured already, as we know. The one player that I would really be looking out for is Mo Saka and Odegaard's position, which is down the left flank, where Leeds have actually considered 2 chances and are ranked 12th. So in terms of the headed ones, this is where probably Gyökeres might just make it. But then again, it's very difficult to determine based on the first game week as to how weak or strong Leeds defense were, and the fact that they played only against Everton. So it's a little bit of unclear. So at least from the zonal data, nothing really stands out. But again, those are the players that you can watch out for from this particular fixture. Moving on to the Brentford versus Aston Villa, and I think this is going to be pretty interesting. I think a lot of managers are owning Watkins, who kind of just slightly falls out of our marking zone because we only mark the top five and not any. But here, if you look at it, Brentford have actually conceded 2 chances down the center and are ranked sixth. So that's where Watkins is likely to play. Brentford, on the other hand, looked a little bit shaky. I think the team is completely different than the one we saw or we are used to seeing in the previous years. So that's that. But the player that really stands out from the zonal point of view is Rogers. A lot of managers do have Rogers, so I think that's where um, this could this game could offer some sort of more opportunity for Rogers because Brentford have actually considered 6 chances down the right flank and are ranked third. So Digne and Rogers, both from the assist point of view, but also from the scoring point of view, have a good chances. At least the zonal weakness for Brentford tends to be quite clear in comparison to the left flank or in comparison to the right center. Moving on to the next fixture, which is Wolves versus Bournemouth. And again, the one man who really kind of took Liverpool by surprise was Semenyo, and I think his finishing skills have really improved, at least looking at the first match. But again, I'm making a judgment based on just one match only. But then the data backs it up as well. Wolves seems to be quite weak down the flank, where left flank, where Semenyo is going to occupy, and that's where they have actually considered 5 chances and are ranked third. So Semenyo, I wouldn't be surprised if he's back again in the score sheet this week. And again, he already happens to be one of the top transfers for this week. In terms of header chances, Evanilson has a good chance because that's where Wolves have actually considered 4 chances and are ranked second. So Evanilson, I wouldn't be surprised again to see him in the score sheet this week. Whereas on the Wolves side, I think the one that really interests me is Arias. I think this is where Bournemouth have shown a little bit of vulnerability, especially playing against Liverpool in the game week 1. And in the right flank, they have considered 7 chances, and this is where Arias is supposed to play. And of course, he's a winger, so there is also that hope. So Bellegrede could do well, but again, I would be more on the lookout for Arias's performance, and he's cheap, so any attacking returns would actually increase his potential a little bit more, or at least increase his appeal a little bit more from the fantasy point of view. From the Everton versus Brighton game, I think Mitoma still is there. I mean, from the right flank, Everton have actually considered 6 chances and are ranked third. But then again, Minte and Riley are there as well. I wouldn't really be looking too much into it because Everton look quite solid. And I think it's unfortunate for those Tarkowski owners who were there, having to consider a very last moment goal and then losing the clean sheet. But then Tarkowski ended up giving the DEFCON point as well. But yeah, this is not a match that I'm really looking forward to be honest, in terms of getting a lot of returns. So I wouldn't really count so much on the zonal data here. From the Burnley versus Sunderland, and I think this is going to be the battle of the relegated teams, or the promoted teams, not the relegated teams, sorry, but the promoted teams. And I think this is where Maenda and Diarra are the ones that have caught my attention, given the way they performed. And you can see that the stats also kind of favors them this week, because Burnley have actually considered 6 chances down the left flank, where Diarra and Talbiz are likely to play, and they're ranked second. Whereas Maenda, who's also on the score sheet last week, is going to occupy the center position again. And that's where Burnley have actually considered 3 chances and are ranked third. So Diarra's performance could be eye-catching, but Maenda could again steal the show by just scoring a goal. But yeah, this is one player that I'm really keeping an eye, is Diarra. Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest, but I think there's one man who really caught our attention was Anderson, and I think he's been playing well. Wood obviously is there as well, but then the zonal kind of slightly favors Anderson because Crystal Palace have considered 7 chances down the right flank and are ranked worst. Whereas Wood, who just kind of misses out a little bit on the marking, because again, we are marking the top 5, not the 6. But Crystal Palace have actually considered 2 chances only down the center and are ranked 6th here. So Chris Wood could, again, given his goal conversion rate being 100, now I know it's a small sample size and it's just one match, but he just managed to score every chance that he got. So that's why he has the goal conversion of 100%. So if he manages to get, again, probably another 2 chances, he might be able to score, because this is where Crystal Palace looks a little bit vulnerable. But that also increases the DEFCON potential for Lacroix and others as well. So to keep that in mind as well. Moving on to the next slide, and I wouldn't really touch much on it, but except Mateta, who has a good chance of scoring a header this week, because Nottingham Forest have actually considered 4 headed chances down the center and are ranked second, so Mateta could be there. Thiago is one player that is kind of really looks interesting, at least in the chart, and he stands out in the zonal because that's where Aston Villa have considered 5 chances down the center and are ranked worst. So Thiago could be again in the score sheet. I'm not really going down to Shada and others because I don't think so. Brentford really look like the previous years. So I'll have to give. I'll at least be giving a little bit more time before I start to consider any of the Brentford players this season. Um, from the Newcastle and Liverpool game, I know Salah could be the one everybody's looking out for. Ekitike as well, but Newcastle looked quite defensively solid, and as you can see, they have just considered 2 chances down the center and are ranked sixth, where Ekitike could again do well. But when it comes to Salah, they have just considered 1 chance and are ranked 16. Now, Frimpong is already out, I think, but Salah is still there. Yeah, not much, at least from the, if you have Salah or Haaland both, I think the choice in terms of captaincy becomes pretty obvious when you look at these two data as well. Um, from Newcastle point of view, I think it's only Burns who stands out because that's where Liverpool have considered, or at least on the right flank, they have considered 4 chances and are ranked fifth. So Joe Linton and Barnes could be interesting shout. Moving on to the next fixture, which is again West Ham versus Chelsea. And the one that stands out is on the left flank, where Neto is going to occupy that position. West Ham seems to look pretty vulnerable defensively, didn't manage to really play well. Against Sunderland, ended up conceding 3 goals. And most of these chances were actually coming down from this particular flank, which is the left flank. And that's where Neto is going to occupy because they have considered 4 chances and are ranked fourth. So Estevao and Neto could be the one who could exploit, and Neto looked a little bit sharper than before. So yeah, Palmer again. I don't think so. There's much to discuss, as you can see in the chart, but yeah, so I wouldn't take too much time there anyway. Brighton versus what you call it, Everton, and this is where NDIA. A number of managers already own NDIA, so yeah, Brighton have actually considered 4 chances down the right flank and are ranked fifth. So Grealish and NDIA could do well here. Moving on to the last fixture, which is Fulham versus Manchester United. And of course, Sesko just came in at least after the 60 minutes to actually do some sort of impact, which unfortunately didn't happen. Manchester United ended up losing 1-0, but played quite well. So as you can see, that's where Fulham have actually considered 3 chances and are ranked third. So Manchester United, Sesko and Fernandes could actually exploit that zone. But Mbumo is someone that you could also keep an eye on. I know Cunha got a lot of attention, but Mbumo could actually end up scoring his first goal for Manchester United because that's where Fulham have actually considered 3 chances and are ranked 7th. So yeah, Mbumo and Amat could be in the score sheet as well. So do keep an eye on that. Right, moving on to the last part of the zonal weakness, and of course that's the team of the week, and this is the first team of the week for Game Week 2 for the season this year. As you can see, Haaland obviously makes it along with Manda and Thiago from Brentford. So those are the 3 pairings, and I don't think so there's much doubt about why we actually decided to choose, although I was a bit hesitant in terms of whether to pick Thiago or not, but then again, the data kind of warranted that Thiago deserves that particular player spot, so we've given it to him. From the midfield, it's Rogers, Anderson, and Fernandes and Semenyo, and I think those players already, as you could see in the previous slides, the data kind of spoke for itself. So there's no really no confusion as to why those players, the 4 players that we see on the screen in terms of the midfield, are there. Digne looked interesting, particularly from the assist point of view, but also from the number of chances the crosses they have considered. De Kuiper as well, and Adam Smith. And when you come to the goalkeepers, I think Raya, because they're playing Newcastle, they're playing this Leeds, so the chances of clean sheet is quite high. Again, if Leeds doesn't end up scoring at the very last moment. But yeah, that's that for this week. And I hope I've just been able to do it. And I'm not quite used to doing this, to be honest. But yeah, if you do like it, let us know. And thank you so much for joining. And Bethany will be back next week, of course. But until then, it's a goodbye from me. Thank you. Bye bye.